What are you thinking? How can a low-level employee like you afford to use paid leave to come to such a fancy hotel? Are you kidding me? Permission for paid leave? That was just to make you think you had a break. I never thought you'd actually take time off to come to a place like this.
This incident occurred on the day I took my mom to a luxury hotel as a Mother's Day gift. My arrogant boss had deliberately waited for me at the hotel, yelling and looking down on me mockingly. But he was unaware of something crucial. My mom is not just an ordinary lady. He doesn't know how this would dramatically affect his life in the future. I'm Michael Anderson. My parents got divorced when I was young, and I was raised by my mom in a single-parent household. From a young age, I realized how busy my mom was, working tirelessly for our livelihood. At daycare, I was always the last kid to be picked up.
Hey teacher, where's my mom? Isn't she here yet?
Just a bit longer. Want to play with the blocks? What do you say?
But all my friends have already gone home.
Then let's build a big car with the blocks together.
The daycare teachers probably felt sorry for me, always waiting late into the night for my mom. They always suggested fun activities to keep me entertained. Even after I started elementary school, not much changed. Unlike the daycare, which kept kids until 7 p.m., the after-school program was fee-based and could only be extended until 6 p.m. If my mom was late, I would walk home alone in the dark. Sometimes, my friends' parents would get worried and drop me off at home, but that only made me feel more miserable, ashamed of them seeing our dark, empty house, and I'd often rush home alone. But I never expressed my loneliness or frustration to my mom. Even as a kid, I understood how hard she was working. I vaguely knew we were in debt, so I kept my feelings to myself, swallowing my loneliness. As I grew older, I turned to sports to distract myself from loneliness. Focusing on physical activity helped me forget all my troubles. That's how I coped with the solitude of my childhood. Thanks to my mom's hard work, our living situation gradually improved. In high school, while I participated in sports, I also worked part-time jobs on my days off. But thanks to my mom's efforts, it wasn't to support our living expenses, but rather just for pocket money. Like my friends. Around that time, I started thinking about my future education.
Mom, I've been thinking about what I want to do after high school. Just before a parent-teacher conference, I brought up the topic with her.
She surprised me by saying, a private university might be tough, but if you want to go to a state university and study what you like, that's fine. That's if you want to pursue higher education, of course.
Really?
Of course. You've been through a lot. I want to let you study as much as you want.
Thanks, Mom. I'm going to college. I'll work hard and get into a state university. So don't worry.
I'm sorry, Michael. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I chose a state university within commuting distance and studied hard, balancing it with my part-time job. During the parent-teacher conference, my homeroom teacher assured me, if you keep up your current grades, you can definitely aim for it. With this endorsement, I confidently faced the entrance exams. My efforts paid off, and I was accepted into a state university. As a college student, I didn't slack off in my studies, balancing them with increased work hours. I was determined to make the most of the opportunity my mom had given me. I crammed my 4 years of college with as many courses as possible, earning an abundance of credits. At the same time, I was actively involved in extracurricular activities, which allowed me to enjoy a fulfilling 4 years in college. After graduating, I got a job in the textile industry. Working in textiles required not only a delicate sensibility, but also the physical strength to handle large amounts of fabric. Thanks to my sports experience during my student years, I was fairly confident in my physical abilities. As for developing a delicate sensibility, that was something I hoped to improve over time. Parker, the head of the sales department, once told me, sensibility is honed in the field, so don't worry about it. This advice made me think that while career advancement was good, I wanted to stay in the field as long as possible. Once you get promoted, you tend to do more paperwork and attend more meetings than actual field work. When I shared this thought with my peers, one of them said, "You sure are an odd one." I guess most people want to advance their careers quickly and work in a comfortable office environment. It seemed I was a rare type. I worked diligently under Parker's guidance, sometimes even meeting the demanding requirements of our clients. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say I dedicated most of my 20s to my job. I was always thinking about the company, even in my sleep. Then one day, something unexpected happened.
Yeah, I debated whether to tell everyone, but I thought it's better to be honest rather than to create unnecessary speculation. This is shocking.
But it's in the early stages, so it's not an immediate concern.
Parker called everyone together before work to share his cancer diagnosis. Although it was caught early and treatment for a return seemed feasible, he decided to retire early due to his age, which was over 55.
I'm sorry for the sudden news. I'll ensure a smooth transition so as not to cause any more trouble.
But are you sure you're okay? Can you be cured?
I can say for sure. There are no absolutes in medicine, but since it's early, the chances of recovery are high. Don't worry, I won't go down that easily. Make sure you visit me from time to time.
Parker.
Overwhelmed, I couldn't help but cry, and Parker gently patted my back in comfort. Due to his illness, he did a brief handover and left the office a few days later. His replacement was Smith.
All right, everyone. I'm your new boss from today. I expect everyone to work hard. No more lax work like before. Be prepared.
His greeting conveyed a sense of danger, and everyone frowned, but Smith seemed oblivious. He was not expected to be promoted to this position. To be frank, he wasn't really known for his competence. But due to Parker's sudden retirement and the seniority system, he ended up getting the position. He disliked being told what to do and barely nodded in agreement to Parker's instructions. He was also known for losing his temper, yelling at juniors, and had a reputation for not being a pleasant person. Until now, Parker had always kept Smith in check, so there'd never been any major problems. But after Parker left, Smith got promoted. There seemed to be no one left to restrain him. Furthermore, Smith was overly tyrannical to the point of being abusive to the employees. When I'd say, "Have a good evening," and try to leave on time after finishing my day's work, Smith would ask in genuine surprise, "Hey Anderson, why are you leaving now?"
Well, it's time, and I finished my work for today.
What are you talking about? Just because you finished today's work doesn't mean you can just leave. There's always more to do.
But
All of you too. Don't just focus on today's work. Look ahead and keep moving forward. That way, we can secure more contracts, which is good for the company. Work as much overtime as possible. Those who leave on time are incompetent. Work harder.
Smith proudly declared this in front of everyone, leaving us dumbfounded. When a junior colleague tried to take paid leave, Smith confronted him aggressively. "Hey, you applied for leave? What were you thinking?"
Well, yes, I did. What kind of thinking is that? Everyone else is working hard and you think you can just take leave? Nonsense. If you have time to spare, work.
Well, I have a family event that day. I've taken leave before without any issues.
I don't care. I'm the boss now. Forget how things were done before. No more taking leave.
His overly tyrannical behavior confused everyone in the department. At one point, he imposed a senseless punishment. Who comes in at the last minute like that? As a penalty, come in an hour early from tomorrow and clean the office. Another time, he announced, "We've hit this month's target, but it's not enough. Tomorrow is Saturday, but we'll have a meeting, so everyone must attend." We all voiced our concerns, but Smith didn't care. It seemed he had been frustrated about not getting a position until now. After he finally got promoted to be a manager, he lashed out his pent-up frustrations on his subordinates.
Hey Anderson, how are you doing?
good evening, sir. Just the usual, I guess.
That's good. But you know, being in your 30s and still just a junior employee, aren't you a bit too incompetent?
What?
That's the lowest of the low. If you're still there at your age, it says a lot about your future, doesn't it? It's only a matter of time before the newbies overtake you.
Well,
Anyway, just make sure you don't get overtaken by the newcomers. And of course, I expect you to work overtime today as well.
With a pat on my shoulder, Smith walked away, leaving me with nothing to do but sigh. A few months after Smith's arrival, one day happened to be close to Mother's Day.
So I'm thinking of splurging on a Mother's Day gift.
That's nice. It's your first Mother's Day since you started working, isn't it?
Yes, So I'm thinking of giving a short trip or something as a gift, even if it's somewhere nearby.
Wow, that's wonderful. Your mom will be so happy.
But then I'd have to do the same for Father's Day, right? I'm thinking about where to go. They both love spa resorts, so maybe that would be nice.
Overhearing this conversation between a new female employee and a third-year female employee, I glanced at the calendar. Right? Mother's Day was coming up. Every year I take my mom out to dinner, but maybe this time I should splurge on a night at a luxury hotel. With that in mind, I hurriedly took action. I searched on my phone during lunch and made an early reservation. Immediately after returning to the office, I applied for paid leave using the internal company form. Although I wanted my mom to relax, it was clear she wouldn't go alone if I just told her to. Well, staying overnight with a parent at this age might feel a bit embarrassing, but it should be fine once in a while.
However, applying for paid leaves, which used to be routine under Parker, had become impossible since Smith took over. I wondered what he would say this time. But staying in this situation would only increase dissatisfaction among my colleagues.
Therefore, I decided to boldly apply for leave on a weekday.
The days leading up to the trip were relatively calm. I was sure I would be reprimanded for requesting time off.
I even prepared myself to be scolded in front of everyone, but surprisingly nothing was said. Even more astonishing, my application was approved the next day.
Anderson, you seem to be doing well lately. Did anything good happen?
I guess it's just the usual.
Good. Keep it up just as usual.
His overly cheerful mood was almost scary, but if things continued this peacefully, I couldn't ask for more. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was calm before the storm. Then came the day of the trip. I enjoyed sightseeing around the hotel area with my mom in the morning and headed to the hotel in time for check-in.
Wow, can we really stay at a place like this?
Yeah, I'll check us in now. Just wait here.
Thank you.
While my mom excitedly explored the hotel's grandeur, I headed to the reception to check in. However, I stopped in my tracks when I saw someone who shouldn't have been there.
Smith?
My feet were frozen as I saw Smith hurrying over to me.
Hey, Anderson?
Why are you here, Smith?
What do you mean, why? How can a lowly employee like you use paid leave to come to such a luxury hotel? Are you kidding me?
After he started to berate me, he grabbed my collar as if he was furious. Confused, I managed to reply, but you approved my leave request. Indeed, my leave for that day had been approved by Smith. Why then was I being yelled at like that at the hotel of all places?
That was just to lead you on. I never thought you'd actually take time off to come to a place like this.
Lead me on? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean.
What? Are you messing with me? I'd love to see the face of the parent who raised such an incompetent person who doesn't even understand their own position.
What?
The face. I want to see the face of the parent who raised such an incompetent person like you.
Smith, seemingly pleased with himself, continued, "You're just a permanent junior employee, never doing any unpaid overtime, and showing no desire for promotion. What's wrong with you? Do you want to get ahead? If you do, you should be working overtime every day. Show some determination and grit. Otherwise, the higher-ups won't recognize you." Well, someone as incompetent as you probably won't understand what I'm saying, right? "Sorry for talking about complex stuff," he ranted. Just as I was feeling the sting of my surroundings and thinking about how to handle this situation,
Michael, my mother, having heard the commotion, walked over.
then it suddenly clicked for me. I turned back to Smith.
Smith.
What?
My parent is right here.
Saying this, I stepped aside to reveal my mother, causing Smith to freeze in place.
Why? Tao?
Well, hello there. I believe this is the first time we've met within the company, isn't it?
Why? Why is the chairwoman here? You mean parent. What does this mean?
Oh, you knew about me. I thought I was hardly known within the company, and so I rarely make an appearance.
Well, of course. How could I not know the face of the chairwoman? It's impossible not to.
Well, that's flattering. Yes, my mother is the chairwoman of our company. It seems Smith knew of my mother, but wasn't aware of our parent-child relationship.
In front of my mother, he completely shrank back.
By the way, Smith, I've heard everything. My son seems to be under your care. However, what he's told me about you seems to be true. Paid leave is an employee's rightful entitlement. You have no grounds to fault him for that. And what's this? Unpaid overtime? Overtime for promotion? Aren't you being abusive? Listen, work isn't just about mindlessly putting in hours. It's about efficiency, doing things effectively. Without proper balance, you can't perform well. I thought that would be common sense for someone in the workforce, but perhaps I was mistaken.
My mother confronted Smith with a smile, but her eyes were anything but amused. He was completely terrified by her presence. However, I had no intention of stopping her. In fact, part of me wanted her to be even harsher. My mother, who has always managed our company, can be incredibly intimidating when she's angry. Her mouth might be smiling, but her eyes were anything but that. They were so cold it felt like they could chill you to the bone.
Well, never mind. I'm here for personal reasons, not business. I don't have time to bother with you any longer.
But Chairwoman...
Is there something else you need from us?
No, nothing at all.
Good. I'll inform you of your consequences later. Be prepared. Michael, let's go.
Yes.
Seeing my mother so enraged after a long time, I broke out in a cold sweat. Carefully avoiding provoking her further, I responded and walked past the stunned Smith. Glancing at his expression as we passed, he looked utterly defeated. After enjoying the trip with my mom, we returned home feeling very satisfied. I found Smith's seat at the sales department gone when I went back to work 2 days later. It turned out my mother had contacted HR from our hotel. Smith's unreasonable treatment of his subordinates came to light. Originally, HR had considered him unsuitable for the managerial position, viewing him as a stopgap until a more suitable person was found. Of course, if he had produced results, he could have stayed, but his behavior made that impossible. Misinterpreting the position given to him as his own merit, his tyrannical behavior resulted in an immediate transfer. He was sent to the logistics department. It's a physically demanding and hot area, mostly staffed by young, strong men.
Smith to logistics.
I can't imagine he'll keep up.
He's clearly aiming for a voluntary resignation.
Well, considering what he did, he got his just desserts.
Anyway, I'm relieved we can work efficiently again now that he's gone.
Yes, no more unnecessary overtime or weekend work. It's nice to be back to peace.
Despite various rumors, nobody genuinely expressed concern for Smith. Perhaps he was now sweating profusely in the logistics department, feeling small and insignificant. I didn't have an ounce of sympathy for him. The sales department decided to leave the managerial position vacant for a while, with a manager temporarily taking on the role. We apologize for the inconvenience caused by this temporary personnel decision. The HR department representative said, even coming to the sales department to apologize. Additionally, my mother, though retired from the front lines as the chairwoman, decided she needed to keep a closer eye on the company's operations. The current CEO, who had been my mother's competent right-hand man for many years, also sent an apology letter after hearing from her. In the sales department, we were just glad to have our peaceful work environment back, so much so that we were almost embarrassed by the apologies from various departments. Smith quit the company shortly after his transfer to logistics. Whether it was a move aimed at inducing his resignation, I don't know. But working under younger employees, along with the physical demands, were likely too much for him.
He was really put through the ringer there.
He was a man who hated being told what to do, after all.
He wasn't gonna last, was he?
These rumors faded within a week. Later, I was called to the reception room by my mother.
Michael, sorry for calling you in so suddenly.
No, it's okay. But what's up? Is there something else?
No, it's not that. I just think it's time for you to accept a promotion.
A promotion?
Yes. I'm truly grateful that you joined our company. I know you've continued to work on site, following former manager Parker's advice. I understand you have your ambitions and are dedicated to your goals, working with pride in your current role. I get all that.
But why the sudden promotion talk?
It's not sudden. I've been thinking about it for a while. And it's not just me, the CEO and the HR department agree.
What?
That was a shocking revelation for me.
Since you joined the company, we've never really talked about this, so let me say it now. I'd like you to work towards becoming the next CEO.
That's I've always thought about taking over the company one day. But I still have so much to learn, and I still want to be out in the field.
I understand, but our company's work isn't just about fieldwork. Sure, there are things you can only learn and experience on the field, but there are also things you can only understand and learn from leading and commanding from above.
I understood what my mother was saying. Thought so too. When I first joined, I was fully intent on eventually taking over as the CEO. However, after working for 10 years in the textile industry, I started to doubt if I was up to such a big role. I asked my mother for some time to think and called former manager Parker during the weekend. He had successfully undergone surgery and was then living a peaceful retirement.
I haven't been in touch for a while.
It's been a long time indeed.
I consulted Parker about the offer and my feelings.
Honestly, I'm more anxious right now. I'm worried that standing at the top with such a mindset will only make everyone uneasy.
Parker calmly asked, "Do you have time now? It's your day off, right?"
Yes.
Then bring the highest quality textile sample you have to my house.
I rushed to get the best sample I was handling and went to Parker's house. When I showed him the sample, he smiled and said, "You've really come to understand, haven't you?"
Your experience in the field is evident. I think you'll be fine.
His words resonated with me. I felt recognized for the first time, and it was overwhelming.
Thank you. I truly thank you.
That gratitude gradually turned into confidence. Encouraged by Parker, I decided to accept my mother's wishes. I was anxious about what everyone would think of an inexperienced person like me getting promoted, but when I was actually promoted to manager, everyone was happier than I was.
Anderson, congratulations.
I'm as happy as if it were my own promotion.
It's about time.
I always wondered why you weren't in a managerial position until now. Congratulations.
Everyone, thank you. I might not know much beyond fieldwork and might cause some trouble.
No trouble at all. We all know how much you contribute to the company. Don't worry, we'll support you wherever we can.
Thank you. Really thank you.
The sound of applause was heartwarming. With my promotion to become a manager, the former manager was promoted to become a director. The sales department was again united, ready to move forward together. As a manager, I started taking a more active role in training and guiding the team. Although I've been asked by my younger colleagues to teach them, I was mostly out on the field and not often in the office. Especially, the new female employee whom I splurged on for Mother's Day seemed to have a lot of questions for me. I hadn't been able to teach much before, but now I decided to share my knowledge and sales expertise with my juniors. Thanks to that, our company's performance has been on the rise.
Yes. Is there something else you're unsure about?
No, it's not that. Just, do you have a girlfriend, manager?
What?
I was actually asked that question by that new female employee, leading to teasing from the others who'd say, "It looks like Anderson is finally going to have a spring of his own." After several years of hard work, I was promoted to become a director, having been recognized for my performance as a manager. Initially, I was full of doubts about this role, but now I'm completely resolved to take over as the CEO when the time comes. This change in me is thanks to my mother, who has always worked hard since my childhood, Parker, who I respect, and all my supportive colleagues. Their backing has become my confidence, contributing to the company's growth.
Anderson.
Mr. CEO, good to see you. Good to see you too.
How's the director position treating you?
I'm constantly realizing how much I still have to learn.
You're really modest, quite different from your mother.
The CEO and I occasionally go for drinks together. He has worked under my mother for a long time. I want to learn as much as I can from him now about his thoughts and the company's vision for the future. I don't want to rely on my mother's influence. I want to earn my place through my own abilities. Even if it's hard and humble work, I'm committed to it. Perhaps because of this attitude, the CEO shares various stories with me, including his experiences with my mother and his own failures. I also make sure to visit home occasionally and listen to my mother's advice.
You look much more mature and manly now. Maybe it's a parent's bias, but you seem so dependable.
Hearing her say that makes me feel like it's true. Until now, I focused solely on field work and my own responsibilities. That was enough, and that's what was expected of me. But as my role and responsibilities grew, the perspective I needed changed. It's inevitable and something I must adapt to. Of course, I have to look at things from a higher level now. But it's also crucial to return to the ground level perspective, ensuring the staff's comfort and the appropriateness of human resources management. It's only because I've been on the field that I can think this way. My field experience has indeed broadened my horizon, yet I'm still inexperienced. Newly appointed as a director, the thought of succeeding as the CEO seems presumptuous. But for those who believe in me and follow me, I want to become confident and capable of that role as soon as possible. I still have much to learn from my mother, Parker, the CEO, and everyone else. I'll keep my feet on the ground and work to become a CEO who won't be ashamed of his roots. That's what I'm thinking now.